Eyes on Tech, Asus promises to keep making likable phones. iPad rumors stir just before the newest iPhone announcement. iFixit is gunning straight for McDonald's ice cream machines, and Elon Musk was found to be doxing Mark Zuckerberg. All that and more coming up today on Eagle Eyes on Tech. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or it's others. They got Eagle Eyes on Tech guy. I'm Eagle Falcon. I'm gonna roll with that one. I probably should redo it, but I'm actually gonna roll with that one. I've already done too many retakes. We have a lot to talk about today. What's even funny is that actually I trimmed off actually a lot of security news for one big reason. It affects literally no one. There was one story about a security vulnerability that it's already been patched and is already a live active patch that was pushed out, so it's irrelevant. Yeah, what a great story to talk about there, right? It's brilliant. There was another about the FBI shutting down a botnet. And there was several more of similar importance. We got enough that I'm able to just scrap all that and talk about stuff that actually matters. Trimming it down, sticking to the stuff that really matters. Although we could argue that this next one also doesn't matter a whole lot, at least right here, right now. We could instead talk about how Google has now launched Duet AI for their Google Workspace. Someone in chat just walked in and said, wait, what are we talking about? We were talking about how we're not talking about anything. Oddly enough. But now we're talking about AI. So the whole thing is all about basically integrating. Wow. Yeah, people actually listen to the real podcast have no idea. We had to redo the actual intro that like teases everything. We had to re-record that like 3 times. And I said in one of them, that's a great sign that we're gonna have a terrible podcast. And my God, it's already showing. The whole point of this is to integrate AI into the workspace and to go ahead and give this AI style technology in collaborative efforts like Google Workspace. Google Workspace, if I'm not mistaken, is the kind of collaborative, kind of cloud-based docs program they kind of have, if I'm not mistaken. It's supposed to be like their competitor to Microsoft Teams, if I'm not mistaken, but it's very possible I am mistaken. With that said, though, I find it very interesting that not a lot of talk is still being done about one of the big problems right now with AI, and that is the kind of comically hilarious drop in quality of AI answers as of lately. Since ChatGPT has launched its latest version, is now available to the masses, we have been seeing these large language models get worse and worse and worse and worse over time. And granted, I know one of the reasons why there's not a whole lot of talk about it is pretty simple. There's a lot of money being made in selling AI services, and the less that's talked about it, the better. And considering the fact that the people in charge of these AI outfits control most of the pipeline of news, you know, there's a lot of incentive to not push that news out. I'm not saying that there's a conspiracy about it, even though it definitely sounds like I am. I'm saying it wouldn't surprise me if there was such a thing recently. The other question I'd also ask is Google's large language model holding up better than ChatGPT? The other thing is also, is this just what's referred to as recency bias? Someone gets a bad read and then they start looking up to see how many other people are getting bad reads, and a few people mention their bad reads, but in actuality the amount of bad answers out there is exactly the same, but now you're searching for them, so it seems like a lot more. I don't know, mostly because nobody's talking about it. A handful of people that don't have a whole lot of answers as of yet. In the end, though, all we can do is wait and see. Someone asked in the chat, is this ChatGPT with a skin? No, this is Google's Bard with a skin. This is going to be using the Google Bard large language model, not ChatGPT large language model. Maybe I should just keep calling them LMMs. Actually, speaking of things that start with M or L and have an M in them, Linus Media Group, LMG, in fact. Here's what I will say. I don't have a whole lot to talk about other than, yeah, they definitely slowed down their video production, and their videos are decent. That's about all I have to talk about. The worst part is that I know if I don't mention something, someone's going to go like, aren't you going to talk about them? Oh my God, they had all that huge drama. You spent 2 episodes talking about it. Why aren't you informing us? There's nothing. Things seem fine. There's not enough information to conclude that they're fine. What more do you want me to say? I will say, though, I had a video on an e-ink display, which might be one of the dumbest ideas I've ever seen for, like, a workplace. Like, it's marketed as easier on the eyes in a business environment. And it's like, kinda, yes, but you know what it's better as? Dude, I would love that display, preferably in color, as digital signage. Just like 2 of those above like the front counter in a shop. Like occasionally just switching between like specials and like general information. Dude, that'd be nice. Screw the whole better to type with and for your eyes. The refresh rate is awful. You should not use it for that. I think I'd go mad. But digital signage, that's where it's at for an e-ink display. I don't know how many people agree with me on that one. Probably just me, because I think about that sort of stuff. What's also being thought about, though, is Google looking at Apple and saying, you know, that whole satellite-powered SOS sort of thing, I think we want that. To which I definitely say yes. I would dare say this is going to be the next big push in smartphones, is this kind of satellite, at least bare basis communication anywhere sort of stuff. Right now it's being used for emergency purposes. But I would love to see that in Android devices. Heck, imagine if you could get that into a watch. That would be killer right there. That would be amazing. Now, maybe the whole automatically send out an SOS sort of thing if it detects a crash. Maybe don't do that just on the grounds of, yeah, we already saw how it worked out for Apple. And maybe, just maybe, that's not a great plan. Maybe we don't need to go ahead and tick off emergency services by flooding them with calls saying that you're on a roller coaster or skiing or farting. It's going to be a feature that's going to be coming to smartphones. And the fact that Google's looking into it kind of confirms this. Now, there was some concerns also in the Android phone community. Right now, if you are looking for a high-end smartphone that has a headphone jack and is made by a moderately well-respected brand, right now you're kind of SOL. You know, unless you want to pay the absurd prices that Sony charges for their kind of super high-end models. However, there is Asus and the Zenfone line. However, there were rumors this week that the Zenfone, in fact, was going to be discontinued, and the Zenfone 10 was going to be the very last Zenfone. So what did Asus have to say about these rumors? Can you guess what Asus had to say about these rumors? Well, they held their heads down. They slowly shuffled up to the podium, looked the world in the face with a concerned look in their eyes, and then said, "No! No! We're gonna keep making them. What? Who the? Why the? Where the? No! We're not killing the Zenfone line. Stop that." Which, by the way, great news. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. A lot of you go ahead and say, "Oh man, that looks like a great phone, but there's no headphone jack, so it's dead to me forever." Which, by the way, is an extremist frickin' mentality. But I understand. But it is kind of... it's a weird hill to die on. Personally, I would have taken expandable storage over headphone jack. But I've also been using Bluetooth headsets for a very long time now, so... you know, that's just me. I would have died on the no expandable storage hill long before I would have died on the no headphone jack hill. But it is what it is. Unfortunately, only one of us got our wish. And it wasn't me. So the Zenfone will still continue to exist. The Zenfone will still, in fact, have a headphone jack, as far as we're aware, until Asus starts to make their own wireless earbuds that you can easily swallow. Then the headphone jack will be gone. You just watch. You watch. It's gonna happen. You want to think it's not gonna happen, but it's gonna happen. The day Asus makes wireless earbuds, That's just the end of it. Now, while the Android market begins to ponder what it's going to do, what do you think is going on in the Apple market? Come on. You know what's going on in the Apple market. The event invites came out for Apple's new, what they're calling Wonderlust event, which will most likely launch the iPhone 15. We may in fact see a new Apple Watch Ultra, that's their new rugged version, and we may even see some other stuff. I don't know. CNET seems to think there's going to be an iPhone 15 Ultra. The rumors this time around have been very sparse, which kind of tells me that I think this iPhone generation is literally just going to be a port change. But here's the rumor, all right? Remember how I've been predicting for the longest time the regular iPhone was going to go portless and the iPhone Pro was going to get USB-C? Well, here's the new rumor, all right? The new rumor is that the iPhone Pro will, in fact, get USB 4. This is Thunderbolt speeds over USB Type-C, which can be downgraded to USB-C speeds or USB 3 speeds. It's still a huge improvement over what Lightning used to have. The regular iPhone, on the other hand, guess what they're going to have, all right? What do you think is going to be at the bottom of the regular iPhone? Anyone want to take a guess? Anyone want to take a guess? What's going to be at the base end of the iPhone? Is it going to be portless? Wireless charging only? Is it going to be a Lightning port? Is it also going to be USB-C? Am I just jerking you around and it's still going to be USB-C? Well, kind of, actually. The rumors say the base iPhone is going to move to USB-C, but here's the thing with USB-C, all right? USB-C is just a port, all right? It is just a connector shape. You can wire USB-C to be any transfer protocol you want. The rumors are saying the regular iPhone is going to be wired for USB 2.0 speeds only. This means it will have a new port. Your accessories will still have to change, but you'll get none of the benefits other than being able to borrow your friend's charging cable. That's it. How horrible is that? Now, theoretically, you'll still have fast charging. They'll still be able to obey the power delivery format of USB-C, at least according to rumors. But this is Apple, so I would expect fast charging for Apple is still going to be roughly in the 7 to 10 watts area. I'm just saying. This Apple announcement is going to be one that is going to be hilarious to look over. Oh my God. I mean, odds are they're just not going to address the transfer speeds of the 15 at all. No, better yet. They'll say the new cohort is double the speeds of the old Lightning connector on the baseline. You could see them doing that too. Instead of freaking 4 megabits, it's now 8. Dude, when you're talking on an Apple that is so arrogant and dumb in the way they're trying to pitch their numbers, I could 100% see them doing that. You're talking about the same Apple for a minute here. Keep this in mind. You're talking about the exact same Apple that is going out of their way to try and pitch their Apple Silicon as the fastest cutting, bleeding edge technology that's out there, when it's not. It's not the fastest, it's the most efficient. Like, that's the crazy thing about Apple Silicon right now. You have bragging rights. They choose not to use them. It is absolutely maddening. It is complete and utter insanity that they'd rather try to go ahead and say, yeah, we can outspeed we can outperform in professional tasks. Dual 96 core epic processors and frickin' 4 A100 GPUs and SLI with this one chip, no problem. And then when you actually run the test, they absolutely get slaughtered because of course it is. You're not even in the same weight class. You're talking about a frickin' 90 watt chip versus a 5,000 watt system. It would be like me trying to say that my laptop can outperform a supercomputer. It can't. No matter how hard you try, it just can't. Or if you want a car example, and I actually have to credit a trucker from our community on this one, it would be like someone with their Jeep Wrangler trying to say, I can tow whatever I want and I can out tow a freaking semi truck with my Jeep Wrangler. That's not what your Jeep Wrangler is meant for. It's meant to be efficient. It's meant to be like all terrain. Why the heck are you putting it head to head with a semi? You fool! You're gonna get crushed. But you're gonna get quadruple the miles to the gallon. This is just modern Apple for you, and quite frankly, it is incredibly entertaining, especially after seeing Linus Media Group get absolutely raked over the coals for inaccuracy in numbers, and then Apple's just sitting over here blatantly lying about all their graphs, and no one can lay a finger on them. Who would be the gamer's nexus to Apple? That's what we gotta ask ourselves. The unfortunate thing is I have no idea. There's just no clue who can go ahead and shed light on this whole thing. But enough Apple ranting. Let's instead talk about the iPad. There are rumors about iPad Pros, and these rumors are just like growing rampant right now regarding iPad Pro updates for next year. I got a feeling with how much they're being talked about, these are going to be coming sooner than next year. They may even happen this event, or could be in October as well. Apple does have a habit of talking about various hardware updates right before the holiday season in like late October. But they're trying to figure out updates to the iPad Pro specifically to help reignite the horrible tablet sales. You want to know why there are horrible tablet sales right now? Let me tell you. All right. Come here. All right. Come a little closer. The main reason the iPad Pro sales are so far down is because no one can figure out who the iPad Pro is for. Think about this for a second. Why would you need an iPad Pro over literally any other iPad? Like, there's currently 4 iPads. There's the iPad Pro, iPad Air, regular iPad, not to be confused with the iPad Air, even though they're very similar, and iPad Mini. The thing is that the iPad Air, iPad, and iPad Mini all roughly have the exact same process. Let me actually double check here real quick. iPad Air processor. Capacity, 64 gigs or 256 gigs. Incredible. Either have too little or too much. Excellent. It's rocking a 8-core M1 chip. That's actually comical overkill. That's what's in the iPad Air. What's in the regular iPad? Regular iPad 10th generation at 450 is actually rocking the A14 Bionic. So there actually is a significant difference between iPad and iPad Air, processor-wise. All right, what about iPad Mini? iPad Mini is rocking A15 Bionic. So regular and Mini are rocking phone chip. iPad Air is rocking first generation Apple Silicon chip that's meant for laptops and desktops with no software to take advantage of that hardware. All right. What's the iPad Pro running right now? I mean, can you guess? I'll give you a hint. It's just the M2. The M2, the same chip that inspired literally no upgrades from the M1. The chip that was 4% faster roughly across the board compared to the M1. There's no reason to get the iPad Pro unless you really want a 13-inch tablet that is hilariously unwieldy, or an 11-inch tablet that's moderately more wieldy, but still pretty massive. And the thing is, they all run iPad OS, which is just slightly more upgraded iOS. You have an identity crisis in this entire lineup. You're trying to pitch the iPad and the iPad Mini as what they are. They're little tablets. But then the iPad Air and the iPad Pro are supposed to be, what, computer replacements? But the operating system's not there yet. And the actual professionals, they're not going to want to use a touchscreen. They're going to want to use a keyboard and mouse. But the operating system's built for... The entire lineup is so confused. On top of all that, everything's way more expensive. Your bills are more expensive. Your grocery bills are more expensive. Your rent more than likely is more expensive unless you have landlords like ours that don't seem to want to jack up everything, which, by the way, keep not jacking up anything. They'd be super swell. Very grateful for that, especially with the price of everything else going up. Okay, thanks. Very happy for that. You have the price of everything going up, everything becoming less affordable. So why the heck would you go for the highest end tablet when you're either going to just go for the cheapest one because it does all the exact same stuff and you can't tell the difference, or better yet, just buy a used one because it's just the tablet, or even better yet, just not get one. The tablet is such a confused space. No one knows what to do with it. Oh, but it's such a great gaming device. Yeah. That's great. I can't wait to play Dodge Runner or gimmicky game number 743 that's just ads over and over again. Or yeah, you can't go ahead and try to pitch to me that the iPad's a great gaming device, especially since right now, I not to brag, but man, gamers right now are just, they are eating very well. Between Armor Core 6, Starfield, Baldur's Gate 3, and then probably some more Baldur's Gate 3 just for fun. You've got 3 huge blockbusters right now that people just can't get enough of, except for maybe Starfield. I've been hearing mixed reviews about Starfield, but I have a distinct feeling that might just be because frickin', you know, it's a Bethesda game. I'm willing to bet it launched as a cyclone of bugs. So we'll have to see how that game matures in about a month after all the bugs are after roughly 2/3 of the bugs are fixed. Not to mention all the other little gems here and there that have launched. I'm still trying to beat FF16. That launched so long ago. Heck, I still have Tears of the Kingdom I still need to play. So why the heck would anyone go ahead and buy an iPad as a gaming device? So I can go ahead and play Frustrated Pigeons 43? Filled with microtransactions and pressing my nose against the screen, or whatever the heck is passing off for mobile gaming nowadays. Oh, but what about productivity? I want you to find me the professional that's going to look at a 13-inch iPad and say, I want to use that over my dual to triple screen workstation hooked up to 2,000% more powerful of a PC or Mac to go ahead and accomplish whatever task. Oh, but Final Cut is on the iPad Pro. Who cares? No one. Especially, what even is the price of these things? Like, the iPad Pro goes up to 2 terabytes. What is the price of the 2 terabyte iPad Pro? It starts at $1,100. For 2 terabyte, it's $2,200. You want to know, Apple, why your iPad Pro sales are so bad? Maybe that's why. I'm pretty sure the actual mobile workstation I play games on sold for less when it was brand new. And it has the highest end CPU and GPU from the era. And I bought that on the used market for $400. Get wrecked. All I can do is shake my head at that. Holy cow. But the rumors are saying that the iPad Pro going to get an M3 chip, an OLED screen upgrade, and a new Magic keyboard with an upgraded trackpad. And I'll just tell you this right now. You need to get that price down, or you better bring some substantial upgrades to that operating system if you expect this to be a professional device. Because right now, this is a comical toy. When even Windows tablets are beating you out on price and usability, you're just failing on all fronts. We're going to take a break here. When we get back, someone in chat said, you mean Bethesda's only fixed a quarter of the bugs. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt, even though I probably shouldn't. When we come back, I want to talk about Lenovo and their latest launch into the portable space. We will be back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. I got a different water bottle and there's like something weird on the lid. I should probably stop drinking from that lid. That's a little concerning to find right as you start up. But in any case, we're going to move on. Lenovo has finally unveiled their Legion handheld gaming device. They are calling it the Legion Go because they are very original. It is going to have a micro OLED screen and a Ryzen Z1 series CPU, as well as new headphones, or actually new earbuds that come with it. I mean, all in all, this thing should be a pretty impressive device, but here's the problem with this thing. You know, when you're talking that it's going to be running Windows 11, this is already a pretty big problem, honestly, for this kind of device. We'll get into the reason why. A new Z1 Extreme processor, an 8.8-inch QHD screen. I don't know, what would that put the screen resolution at? Would that be 1440p or would that be... Yeah, it would be 1440p. Okay, then. That's a very interesting lifestyle choice there. With a 16 by 10 inch aspect ratio, 500 nits of brightness. Support resolutions from 1600p to 800p, as well as 144 hertz and 60 hertz. 10-point touchscreen, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 1 terabyte PCI Express Gen 4 SSD, a micro SD card slot, and up to 2 terabytes of extra storage. Swappable. What would you call these? I don't want to call them Joy-Cons. Joy-Con clones. But joystick controller interface devices. I don't think they actually put a name on it. Which has the whole package is a 25 watt TGP heat dissipation, a 49.2 watt hour battery capacity. There is no mention on how long the battery life is going to be in this diagram. The thing is that I'll just get to the punchline, assuming this thing doesn't. Oh, the headphones are going to be wired via USB-C Does that mean there's no headphone jack? No. They could have made something this chonky and okay, there is a headphone jack. Oh. For a moment, I thought I was gonna hear the hang him. Apparently, there's also the Legion glasses. This is probably a VR headset of some kind that pairs up with this thing. Headphones. They're not mentioning what it is here. I'll just say it because I've seen it in other articles. Oh no, here it is. The Legion Go is expected to start at 800 euros. I know the value of the euro has gone down in recent. Let's actually go ahead and just Google this. 799 euros to dollars. It should be pretty close to about the same. Oh, a little. It's pretty close. This is roughly an $860 device. The exact conversion, according to Google, at the time of recording this, is 799 euros equals $862.64. So I would expect this to sell in the US for $849. It might actually even go for the $799 US just because this the 799 euros included the value added tax, the VAT, which here on this side of the pond, we don't have VATs. We have other problems, but I digress. All right. What are my thoughts on this? I'm going to ignore the $500 VR headset thing and the $50 USB wired earbuds for a moment. I'm going to focus strictly on the gaming device itself. All right. This is not going to be a very good portable experience. Okay. I think this is fine if you have a long charging cable. If you feel comfortable handling close to a 2-pound device with a cable attached to it. Because the thing is that when you're talking about this GPU with this CPU with this inefficient of an operating system, this is the thing with Windows, all right? I love Windows to a degree. I shouldn't say I love Windows. I have a love-hate relationship with Windows. I don't want to use Windows, but I kind of have to because so much of the world works with Windows. But so much of what Windows does recently kind of ticks me off. All right? That's where I'm at with Windows. Why on earth would I want to use Windows in a touchscreen environment, which is all this would be? It's a touchscreen with joysticks. Why would you want to use Windows with a controller interface? Okay? That's what I'm getting at. It's a terrible experience. And before you go, oh, hey, okay, we're going to go ahead and throw this software, that software, the other thing to make it more usable on it. It'll be just like the Asus pad. Dude, do you know what happens when you put layer on top of layer on top of layer on top of Windows? It feels worse and worse and worse and worse. You've already got a low-powered, efficiency-based I just accidentally turned on my PS5 and I thought I turned off the AC. Whoops. Well, I guess I'll have to take care of that later. But back to my point. You have all of this. It's meant to be as power efficient as possible, like even more power efficient than a laptop. But then you're putting layer of inefficiency on top of inefficiency on top of inefficiency. So then you have to go ahead and throw more and more power on it, which means it has to generate more and more heat, which means it's going to run hotter and hotter, which means it's going to suck more and more power. So all of a sudden, your 50 watt hour battery is going to last an hour and a half, maybe 2. And if you're hoping to actually just take this thing with you and have it last all day until you get home and can charge it again, like you can with, say, a Switch or a Game Boy or anything like that, you are going to be SOL. Oh my God, how much of the new generation even knows what a Game Boy is? Oh God. Ugh. Is that going to be a new sign of age, knowing what a Game Boy is? Dude, I'm just saying. 2 AA's. That would start. That thing would run for like weeks. And it still has better games than your phone. Don't look at me like that. You know I'm right. I guarantee you, my Game Boy Pocket, if I can still find it, I can find way better games than you have on your phone, and you know it. That's just the unfortunate nature of mobile gaming nowadays. It's going to turn this thing, which starts at $800, into a device that you need to carry a large battery pack with it, adding to more weight to it, or something you're going to have to constantly recharge it in the car. And you're only be able to game on it for an hour or maybe 2 if you're lucky at a time. Do you know why the Steam Deck is so successful? I say this again and again and again and again. And I'm going to say it again and again and again until I drill it into everyone's heads. The Steam Deck is so successful because it made the right compromises. It went ahead and said 720p on a portable display is good enough. We can save battery there. 30 frames per second on the go is good enough. And by making these compromises and by going ahead and actually using their own Linux distro that is intended for efficient use, you're able to squeeze 3, 4, 5 hours of battery life out of the blasted thing and actually make it a reliable portable device. While still being one that's very serviceable, and by the way, starts at half the price of this one. For the price of the Legion Go, I can go ahead and get a Steam Deck and an upgrade to it for, 1 or 2 terabytes internally. If I really didn't feel like working on it myself, pay a professional to go ahead and swap out the storage for me if I really wanted to. Or heck, actually at that price, I could just go ahead and just get it from the factory with the correct amount of storage in it in the first place. Get a carrying case, get an external battery pack for it, get a good set of headphones, whether wireless or otherwise. You could get a whole kit for gaming on the go for the price that you get of just this one device that on its own is going to be absolutely horrendous of a portable gaming experience, because it's only good for one waiting room visit to a doctor's office, and that's it. It's the same problem I had with the Asus whatever. And it's going to be a problem for this guy as well. I love the fact they're trying to push the boundaries, but they're pushing it in the wrong direction. Because a gaming device is useless if the battery is dead. Just saying. Now, with that said, it's time to talk about something that no one's happy about. No matter what side of the portable gaming handheld setup you're on, this one I think everyone's disappointed with, unless you're not with Sony at all. And that's the fact that PlayStation Plus is having a price increase of up to $40 per year. Actually, I lied because The Verge has no idea how to write a headline, since apparently their cheapest tiers is also going up $60 to $80 per tier. Oh, from $60 to $80. God, their whole thing is just a mess. According to The Verge and many other sources, Sony is increasing their prices of the PlayStation Plus subscription and having things like their essential plan going from $60 to $80 per year, their extra plan going from $100 to $135 per year, and their premium plan going from $120 to $160 per year. Again, this is the annual price. This is the per year. No one is paying $160 per month to use their PlayStation. That would be, for that amount of money, I better be seeing a new console in my mailbox every 6 months. I'm just saying. Like, what would they have to offer to justify $160 per month? That have to include new hardware. Anyway. The whole thing is absolutely crazy. And the best part is they kind of hid this. All right. In their latest update on what's going on in the world of Sony, they hid this near the bottom of the page. So they wanted to bury this news as deep as they could. This will all be going into effect on November 6th. So if you want to go ahead and make sure you lock in the old price, make sure you renew for annually before November. You got 2 months, basically. Isn't that great? You know what else is great? Starfield, I'm sorry. Starfield had launched in a beta capacity this week. I would say it launched for early release this week, but to the promo players, but from what I've heard, it's basically a beta release. However, if you tried to go ahead and sell it as even earlier than that, you get sent to jail because a Starfield leaker was arrested for felony theft after attempting to break NDNA of something that they didn't have access to and sell copies early. Now, granted, the guy did try to sell these Xbox copies for $200 and up, so a little bit of scalpage going on there. But he also, got a hold of these way early. He was selling these 2 days ahead of time. Whoops. The man has been caught. He goes by the name of McCary. According to this, this was a man in Tennessee caught doing this. Oh no, it's called Darren. No, his name is Darren Harris. What the heck is McCary then? No, regardless. Don't try to steal games and then sell them early. It doesn't end well, apparently. Might have gotten away with that back in the day, but not anymore. So, with that said, Starfield did launch this week. And why did I say that it was more of a beta launched anything. Well, let's just say Starfield proved that Bethesda will in fact always continue to be Bethesda. Is there really any other way to describe it? There has been a long list of various bugs because, of course, the QA department of Bethesda is Has anyone actually checked the credits of a Bethesda game to make sure there is a QA department? Because I'm willing to bet there isn't. In any case, the game for the most part seems fine. It's very much like what you'd expect. It's Fallout or Skyrim in space. And it's pretty much exactly that. The reviews so far have been a bit mixed, but a lot of the negativity is in expecting more than they got, because let's be honest, when it comes to Bethesda games in general, they tend to hype up everything a little too much. You know it, I know it. It's kind of how things end up going. And then in addition, of course, there are just metric tons of bugs. I would almost guarantee you, if you play this game next month, it is going to look radically different than how it launched. We've seen this in Skyrim. We've seen this in Fallout, unless it was Fallout 76, then we never saw it improve. Oh my god. Fallout 76 might be peak Bethesda. You know, other than, you know, the really scummy stuff outside of the bugs. Whew. I'm just grateful that Starfield is looking more like Skyrim launch than it does look like a Fallout 76 launch. That's pretty much where I'll go ahead and put that. Although there's also a decent chance that a lot of the complainers of Starfield might have just been using Intel GPUs, because as it turns out, Intel never launched updated drivers to actually play Starfield. So, if you used an Intel Arc Alchemist card, you had a basically unplayable experience that was 100% seizure-inducing, as everything flickered in and out of existence and polygons went off into infinity. Great. Cool. This is not a good sign for Intel. It really, really isn't. And it could just be that there's a communication problem between Bethesda and Intel. But man, I don't know. It's not looking really good when this sort of thing happens. All right. I want to shift gears pretty radically. I want to shift gears over to iFixit. All right. iFixit has long since notoriously gone after Apple for trying to promote more repairability. All right. They mostly look at phone repairs, laptop repairs, computer repairs, all those sort of things. Okay. That's been their bread and butter for the longest time. iFixit now has turned to a new mission. iFixit wants to fight for the right to repair McDonald's ice cream machines. Some of you might be very confused. Allow me to explain. All right. McDonald's, of course, is a franchise. As a franchise, it is owned by hundreds of owners. In fact, there are tons of different McDonald's that are owned by completely different owners, but those owners have to obey certain rules by the parent company of McDonald's. They have to get all their supplies from the same place, and they have to use very specific equipment that fit into very specific feature sets. One of which is an ice cream machine that is heat treated and self-cleaning. One such machine, and pretty much the only machine that McDonald's uses, it might be required to use these specific machines, is made by a company called Taylor. All right. And here's the best part. These machines break down very frequently, and anytime they throw an error code, they basically refuse to operate and give a cryptic error message that inevitably says to consult the manual. And then when you consult the manual, you either A, not find the information and call the technician, or B, find out that the manual says call a technician. Everything regarding this ice cream machine is specifically done so that it can only be serviced by a certified technician. To the point where actually getting useful error codes out of this blasted thing can only be done with a small mini computer that is plugged into the device that only Taylor technicians are allowed to have. There was a third party that tried to replicate this kind of mini computer that plugs into these machines, that gives out useful information so that you have a prayer of fixing the machine. Think of these little mini computers like an OBD for your car. All right. There on your car, there is a small port under your steering wheel that you can plug a handheld computer into, and it'll read out any check engine light in a language that can be understood by mortals. All right. But anyone can get an OBD. I own an OBD. And I can pretty much read the error code on anything. Except for probably a BMW, because BMW. The thing is that Taylor doesn't allow anyone to get their hands on it. A third party did make a device like this that is compatible with Taylor, but then Taylor sued them into oblivion, and the devices were pretty much banned from existence. This was able to be done because of our favorite law ever, the DMCA. Yes, there is a carve out within the DMCA to protect intellectual property in this manner that actually makes it hostile to the consumers. iFixit is now lobbying to have this fixed because this is absolutely ridiculous. Not just for McDonald's, but just the fact that this kind of business model can be replicated by basically anyone. Could you imagine if like your home microwave refused to turn on and it just said error code 603, and it turned out error code 603 was just like something simple like wipe out the inside of the microwave and then hit a reset button on the back? Wouldn't you be ticked if you had to go hire a technician to do exactly that? That's what's going on at these McDonald's. Alas, that is what they're facing. And I know it's hard to feel pity for anything involving the word McDonald's. It's like trying to feel pity for Walmart or Amazon. Because I mean, McDonald's is pretty much like a huge titan of very mediocre food that does way more bad for you than good. Actually, when was the last time I went to a McDonald's, now that I think about it? I actually can't remember. That's probably for the best. Maybe the ice cream machine was broken the last time I was there too. We're gonna take a break here though. When we come back, I want to talk about Volition, and then talk about a few other stories as well. We will be back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. I want to talk about Volition for a minute. Volition, if you don't know who they are a gaming studio that has been behind quite a few games, but by far, without a doubt, the one they're most known for is the Saints Row series. This is the series of games that basically it's basically copied Grand Theft Auto for, you know, the longest time, and had kind of a goofier sort of trend to it, and for the most part was a very beloved series of games. Unfortunately, the latest release of Saints Row didn't do well, and well, it was announced that in fact Embracer has announced a restructuring to strengthen Embracer and maintain its position as a leader in the video game industry, and as part of that program, they evaluated strategic and operational goals that made a difficult decision to close Volition, effective immediately. So the studio behind Saints Row is gone, deleted, and it's kind of concerning, the fact that Embracer just casually shut them down. Because one thing that not a lot of people are talking about is the fact that Volition was talking about not all that long ago. In fact, as of last Thursday, they said that they weren't going to make Saints Row remakes. They were still communicating to the public as though they were still going to be in operation. They got, as far as we can tell, no hint that in fact their studios was being shut down. All the hints we've seen so far, in fact, supports this, which kind of makes you wonder, what else is Embracer gonna just casually decide to just 86? What else are they just gonna decide, you know what, I don't think we need that? It's kind of chilling, especially when you consider everything that Embracer has. Embracer has Gearbox, the makers of Borderlands. Embracer has the entire Square Enix Canada studio. They now hold the rights to, say, Tomb Raider, the Marvel games. They own quite a lot. There's a ton more that we can't think of off the top of our heads. They all Embracer has been doing has just been scooping up studios that are relatively well skilled, but are just have unpopular IPs right now, or ones that Square Enix foolishly just let go in their quest for NFTs, which, can I just say I'm glad I haven't heard about NFTs in a while out of Square? Like, I really am glad for that, because that was very concerning. Especially since, you know, NFTs have always had such a great, wonderful, high track record of, you know, success. Can you think of any NFT project that has had success? I'll sit here and wait for you to come up with something. And for those of you who thought I could hear you in this audio only podcast, may I convince you in purchasing into my NFT project? It is nothing. It's nothing. I will just send you a face roll of characters on a keyboard and tell you that that's a link to something. It'll be $600. I joke, but man, it does feel like what the NFT market just is. Just straight up. Meanwhile, in other gaming news, Nintendo had a direct solely on showing off the new Super Mario Brothers Wonder, a fever dream of a 2D Mario game in which you collect flowers that make you seem high as a kite, turn into an elephant riding a Yoshi, and all kinds of other things. I think the more fascinating thing about all this is the fact that it's a 2D Mario game. Like, real talk, outside of Mario Maker, when was the last time we had a 2D Mario game? Watch, we've actually had one sooner and I just don't know about it at all. Here's what I'll say. I find it fascinating how much of modern gaming is just returning to its roots. For a long time, it has always been about pushing graphical limits, trying to make everything in as high fidelity, explorable, and 3D as possible. And a lot of games recently are finding simplicity in just returning to a simpler time. I would say for the most part right now, your favorite game is either A, one that returned to a simpler time, or B, one that is copying Breath of the Wild. You laugh, but I don't think I'm wrong in this case. I find it interesting, these turns of events. Although one of the features within Super Mario Bros. Wonder was very Dark Souls-esque, in which you can see phantoms of other people playing their game right now, and then you can either help or... I think just help. I don't think there's any way to actually interfere with the way they operate, other than flood their screen with all of that stuff. In other news, Red CD Projekt has announced that Cyberpunk 2077 is only going to get one expansion, and it's because of a technological decision. And one of the reasons being is the fact that one of the changes that have been made was that it switched from its own Red engine to Unreal Engine 5. We have been seeing this a lot lately. All right. And maybe I only see it a lot lately just because I keep an eye on Square Enix a lot. And Square was heavily invested in making their own game engines. They just figured own game engines make game better. How'd that go for FF14 1.0? How'd their own engine work out for them? How did your own in-house engine work for FF15? That didn't delay the launch of that game by how long? 69 years? 743 years? Because they had to use their own engine? You see more and more game studios just decide, you know, Unreal Engine is a solid engine, and it's probably best we just make our game in Unreal Engine. I have been saying this quite a few times. AAA game development is getting way too long. And shortcuts need to be found in order to shorten the dev time, because otherwise you're going to have companies trying to go ahead and make these fantastically huge, large games and then just absolutely be able to unfulfill half the stuff they want to because they run out of money because the development cycle was 7 years and just launch an imperfect game. It's a problem. And a lot of game studios have said that's why they can't compete with Baldur's Gate. We say this a lot in my industry. You need to work smarter, not harder. It is getting to the point now that making your own in-house engine doesn't make sense if an engine like Unreal will work. I guarantee you're going to see more and more people start to realize this and switch to using Unreal Engine, and it's going to be something that's going to propel Epic Games forward in all of this. What does Baldur's Gate 3 actually run on now that I think about it? Is it their own in-house engine? I know Baldur's Gate 3 had a long developer cycle. What was it? Does my keyboard not respond? There you go. Baldur's Gate 3 engine. I'm actually curious. What do they use? Oh, they actually use their own in-house engine, the Infinity engine. No, that's Baldur's Gate 1 that uses it. Baldur's Gate 2 uses the Infinity engine. It uses Divinity 4.0, which I think that is also their in-house engine. I'm actually not sure. I can't find information on who owns this thing. Are we getting a bit sidetracked here? Yes. Am I going to keep going down this rabbit hole? Absolutely. It is in fact Larian Studios. All right, it is their own in-house engine. That's probably contributing to the long development cycle. But that is the fate of Cyberpunk 2077. It is the fact that they switched engines. Now, is that better or is it worse? I don't think anyone knows at this point. We're actually going to skip past that story. You know what? No, I'll talk about this real quick. A Chinese company named Max Sun decided, you know what would be cool? A GPU, an RTX 40 freaking 90 with 5 fans. You've got 3 fans on top of this somehow dual slot GPU, even though I'm willing to bet if you try to fit it in, it's going to be way bigger. It's got 3 fans on top and 2 smaller side fans blowing in on the side of this thing. Because my God, someone had to go ahead and say, we need more fans. In addition, it also comes with an LED light bar. There is an LED light bar on the side of the GPU as well. And I just have to ask why. Why would you do this? That you can go ahead and do this sort of thing, but at some point you need to ask why. There is nothing in this article talking about how much it costs. Quite frankly, it's a 4090. It's going to cost $2,000 because nothing makes sense in this world anymore. In other news, though, Meta now has a long-awaited feature that they should have had at launch. Are you ready for this? Are you ready? The metaverse. Facebook's digital utopia, dystopian utopia, has one feature it should have had from launch, and you're not ready for it. It has legs. I know. I wasn't ready for it either. Avatars now have legs. But only for beta testers and only available in Quest Home, not in Horizon Worlds, the actual metaverse. So it's one step closer to actually keeping up for Meta to actually try and be a better metaverse than the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV, which is a free trial up to level 70, including the award-winning expansion Stormblood with no restriction on playtime. And cost less, or cost more than that. I'm just saying, when every MMO out there is a better metaverse than your metaverse, you have failed. Still. And your latest update is we have legs. Look out. Oh, jeez. It's just a train wreck. In other news, though, Intel is showing off an 8-core processor. It's just 8 cores. That's all there is to it. There's nothing significant on it, like, say, 64 cores or 64 threads per core, making a 528 thread CPU with only 8 physical cores. Why? This is gonna be a very interesting use case. I'm not gonna lie. This is quite the server chip here. So 528 threads does mean in areas like virtualization, you have much better bandwidth going to each core. But it doesn't change the fact there's still only 8 cores in all of it. It's a weird chip. It's very bizarre. It's basically to make big digital number go burr. And there is no real good general use case for this. So naturally, Linus Tech Tips is going to get their hands on this and try to play Crisis on it. You laugh. You're chuckling. You know it's true. Look, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Linus. All right. I'm just saying. I know there's a lot of people willing to do it. They're going to get their hands on it. I almost guarantee it. Why? I don't know. Is it going to be useful? I don't know. But it is a thing that is about to happen. Staying on the track of absurd hardware, Gigabyte is releasing a new Gen 5 SSD that, what is the capacity of this thing? You don't even say what the capacity is. I'm willing to bet it's like a terabyte or 2. But it's their 12,000 series of SSD because it is able to reach 12 gigabytes per second of read and write speeds. This SSD is so powerful and so fast, it actually has a massive heat sink with heat pipes on it to keep it cool. Dude, if more SSDs are going to be built like this, right now, NVMe SSDs, if you haven't built a computer in a while, you no longer install 2.5-inch or 3.5-inch drives into your case. You are installing basically these long chips directly onto your motherboard and then putting a heat spreader on top of it that kind of blend in to the heat spreader of your chipset. Like, these spaces right now are designed specifically on the motherboard so that they are low profile and just kind of blend in. If SSDs start requiring this kind of thermal dissipation because the SSDs are so powerful, you're gonna have to really start thinking about what kind of motherboard you're getting. Or you have to get an old school PCI Express to NVMe converter just to house one of these things. This is nuts. Yeah, I do kind of want one, not gonna lie. Dude, this would make for crazy server cache. Just saying, it's kind of crazy. All right, and finally we got to the last burb, the last story of the day, the weirdest story of the week. It involves Elon Musk. Elon Musk wanted to go ahead and demonstrate full self-driving version 12 demo. All right, wanted to demonstrate how good the Tesla is at self-driving. Only good things will happen, right? Well, in doing so, the 12th version of this software that was supposed to be released years ago to the public almost ran a red light. I think it actually did run a red light, and then almost hit a vehicle until Elon intervened. And then while the guy was at it, completely doxed where Mark Zuckerberg lives. When confronted about doxing Mark Zuckerberg, Elon responded with something very simple. He said, quite simply, well, you can very easily look up where Mark Zuckerberg is. I didn't dox anything. If you don't understand the irony of this, Elon went ahead and banned an account that was looking at public flight records and tracked exactly where Elon's private jet was flying to, saying that it was doxing him, despite the fact that all the Twitter account was doing was accessing publicly accessed information. Just in case you ever thought that Elon was a man of logic and wisdom and great things to say and just knows everything there is to know, this is a casual reminder that in fact, no, he doesn't, and he is in fact a massive hypocrite. And also, by the way, the full self-driving beta is still something that's not available to the general public, but in fact you have to pay extra for to beta test the whole thing, and in fact can't even get a demo to behave correctly and almost causes an accident. You know, just in case you thought for a moment that, well, maybe Tesla actually is a reputable company. The answer is, in fact, no. No. Not really, no. Folks, that is going to do it for this episode of Eagle Eyes on Tech. Thank you so much for listening, and I do encourage you to check out my other stuff. YouTube.com/EagleFalcon and my Twitch page, twitch.tv/EagleFalcon. Take care, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye. So just how long until the masses are allowed to go ahead and dox other people as well using their self-driving cars? I'm just asking. And also, while we're at it, is the price of the self-driving beta just going to keep going up? I just continue to have these weird questions because no matter how much I look at everything going on here, it just seems like everything involving Tesla is just going to be one giant hot mess for a long, long time. Or then again, didn't we also have that repair incident where, in fact, Tesla employees were just using cameras on Teslas to just share videos of other people on there invading privacy? What's worse who's worse at invading privacy? Facebook or Tesla? Maybe that's the real war that's going on here. We may never know.